Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new series where I read these mysterious Reddit stories. Well, you just enjoy a little bit of Minecraft with me. Yeah, it's just something I'm trying out, see how it goes. So right now, we got this Reddit story called Stalked in the Woods by this person in Let's Not Meet, Rep 143. It is for not safe for work community. So if you are kind of not safe for work, maybe don't listen to this. Let's get started here. I posted this missing 411, and in my planning of my upcoming camping trips, felt the urge to post it here. Mostly a copy and paste with an update on one of the family members. This may be a ramble of thoughts, but after recently stumbling on this subreddit, I finally felt a place I could offer something that my family and I experienced a few years ago. And to this day, it still gives me shivers. I have been camping, solo, backpacking, and hunting my whole life in Oregon and felt comfortable in the woods and have a deep respect for nature. A few years ago, my wife, daughter, and 2 German Shepherds went camping north of Oregon. I have included the coordinates of our campsite, which we found to be the perfect setup for us and our 2 dogs, who need the privacy since they are, well, intimidating to other dog owners and can be loud when spooked. It was not an established campsite, just a nice horseshoe off the USFS road that had a flat ground full of trees and a fire pit. The first night, my daughter wanted to sleep by herself in a 2-man tent right next to ours. It was maybe 2 feet away from me and my wife's tent. We made the male German Shepherd sleep, his name is Guts, with her in the tent. That whole first night, neither my wife and I could sleep. We both heard footsteps, and they were heavy. Not like the typical forest critters scampering around the night. I was well armed because I was paranoid from reading recently before departing about a dad in California who was shot and killed in a tent next to his 2 infant daughters. Needless to say, both my wife and I had 2 pistols and my rifle with me. The dogs are a great detection, and that is why I felt my daughter could sleep alone because, well, Guts is completely fearless, and nothing would lay a hand on her without a battle to the death. Oh, nothing but bad vibes. Loud footsteps occurred that night, which I ultimately decided was a deer or maybe some elk. Made 2 in the morning. We go for a walk down the road, and maybe 300 feet away, see the circle area in the photo. I see an abandoned road where the rusted gate post, where the gate was missing, covered in vegetation. Something of blue color caught my eyes, and Guts immediately takes off running down this abandoned road. My heart begins to race, and I think it's another family camping like us, and he's going to get himself shot or scare some innocent people to death, so I just chase after him as fast as I can, and the rest follow. He stops after 20 feet into the road and me yelling his name, but I have covered just enough distance to see that there is nobody there, and something is off about the sight. I yell, "Hello? Is anyone there? Sorry about the dog." I got no response. My curiosity gets the best of me, and I have to see what these sight conditions were. As I get closer, I know something is wrong. It had all the necessities for a campsite, including a cooler, propane burner, tent, blankets, a folding table, but every single item had been completely destroyed, smashed, and torn from what appeared to be claw marks. We were all walking around in circles, puzzled. Why? Why would anyone leave all their camping gear behind, including an expensive REI tent? I figured, well, someone left in a hurry and animals got to the rest, as that's the only logical explanation. Still, a propane tank and a cooler were flattened by something, and it certainly wasn't a snowpack with the trees covered in that spot. As the afternoon rolls in, me and my daughter are playing ball at the campsite, and my wife goes walking maybe 70 feet north to do her business. I do not have a direct line of sight on her, but all of a sudden, I see Guts make a mad dash straight towards her. Normally, he would always be with me unless he is called over, and she didn't call for him. His speeds and focus His speed and focus caught my attention. I knew something was weird. Something was happening. So I ran over there, and my wife starts jogging at me, and I immediately draw my pistol. Guts has completely continued running into the forest another 100 feet before I call him and he stopped. My other dog Leah, who never misses the opportunity to be the pack leader, is not taking point. I've had her for 7 years, and this was the first time in her life she refused to leave my daughter's side. She was full hair raised and attached to us at the hip. Again, anytime we hike or play, Leah is up front, bossing everyone in her path, and pauses to see where and continues. I asked my wife, "What happened?" she said. "I was trying to pee, and all of a sudden, I felt all my hairs raise. I know someone was watching me, and I saw Guts running towards me, and I just got up to move towards you. We spent 10 minutes looking for signs of anything and saw no trails, no broken branches, nothing to point to what was and where something went. We decided that we are spending one more night. Since it's too late to pack up and drive, but we will all be in the big tent together. Before we go to bed, I put a rope with a makeshift coin alarm around the perimeter of our campsite. I used a mint can and some coins and a key from our truck and zip tied it so anything hitting the rope gave a little jingle. Very unsophisticated, but it put my wife at ease. As I go to tie the last corner off the tree near our tent, our third mystery item unveils itself. It looked like as if someone had already done the exact same thing I have done with a rope that was so old and brown, I didn't see it at first. It was broken and only had few pieces remain, but sure enough it was tied at roughly the same height, 8 to 10 inches off the ground, and even had a few rusted washers on it. I immediately felt someone had stayed here before and put the same makeshift warning system on the same tree. Maybe 10 to 15 years ago, based on the condition of the rope. Perhaps my paranoia has now reached a new height, but I had to make sure the girls felt that we were safe at the time, and the only thing I could think of when the evening came around, I made them sit in the truck. I fired a clip of my .45 into the dirt as a signal to whatever was out there that we were armed. I reassured the girls that anybody listening to now know that we have 2 wolves and are armed, and we are too risky of a target so we can sleep safely. That night, we heard no footsteps, and the dogs never perked up and never barked. We left early the next morning. Fast forward to today, and I watched the Amazon Missing 411 Hunted documentary, and I noticed a cluster smack dab close to where we camp. That weekend, and a flood of dread rushes me as I think that mysterious abandoned campsite with the ripped tent and smash cooler and cooktop. We have been camping since and have enjoyed the beauty of NW. But there was something there at that place that possibly took or harmed someone else. Less than 300 feet away from where we had camped. We all thank our lucky stars that night.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope everyone is just having a wonderful day today. I ran 30 kilometers, just shy short of a marathon, so I did get my half marathon medal. I couldn't morally accept the 42 medal. It was a good time though. I can hardly walk. I'm in a lot of pain right now. So good thing I have a desk job. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. This is in the Reddit called Stay Awake. My Tinder date used me for something, and now I'm afraid to sleep. Okay, here we go now. I matched with Lexi on Tinder 2 weeks before Valentine's Day. She was not my usual type, which is probably why I kept talking to her. She was too still, too composed. Most people on those apps feel like they're selling you a version of themselves. Lexi did not. She spoke like someone who already knew how things were going to end. She never flirted too much. She didn't need to. She had this way of asking questions that made you feel like answering was your idea. Not normal first date questions. She wanted to know what kind of fear stays with a person, Whether I thought some were born marked, whether I believed evil could pass from one life to another just by being let in, I should have unmatched her right there. Instead, I kept replying. That's the part that keeps bothering me now. It wasn't just that I liked her, it was that she made me feel like I was chosen. Like, out of everyone she could have spoken to, she had settled on me for some reason. At the time, that felt intimate. Now, I think that was the first lie. By Valentine's Day, she did not want to go out for dinner or drinks. She wanted something meaningful. That was a word she used, meaningful. She sent me an address outside of the city and said if I trusted her, I would come. It was an abandoned hotel. Even in the parking lot, it felt wrong. The building looked hollowed out, like something had eaten the life out of it years ago and left the shells standing. The sign had collapsed. Half the windows were black and broken. There was no sound anywhere. No traffic, no wind, just this dead building waiting in the dark. Lexi was already there. She was standing under the awning without a coat on, like the cold didn't touch her. She smiled, and when she saw me, but it wasn't a relief. It looked more like a recognition, like I had arrived exactly the way I was supposed to. I asked if she had been there before. She said a few times. Nothing about her voice changed when she said it, but something in me did. I remember wanting to leave then, not dramatically, just a quiet, immediate instinct telling me to get back in my car and never speak to her again. I went inside anyways. That's what I can't forgive in myself. Every bad thing that happened that night announced itself early, and I still walked towards it because she made danger sound intimate. Inside the hotel, it was freezing in a way that I had never felt before. Not winter cold, not broken building cold. It felt inhabited, like the dark itself had a temperature. Our footsteps echoed down a long hallway lined with torn wallpaper and doors hanging half open. The whole place smelled damp and rotten, like wet wood and something older underneath. She led me into a large room down the hall where it might have used to hold weddings or parties. Candles were arranged in a circle on the floor, already lit. That was the moment everything shifted for me. Not because I suddenly believed in any ritual she was talking about, but because I understood she had prepared for this. This wasn't some idea she'd come up with on the drive over. She had brought me here to do exactly this. She handed me a piece of paper and a pen, and she said, "Write your biggest fear," she said. I laughed, mostly because I was uncomfortable. Seriously? She did not smile. She just watched me. There was something in her expression I didn't recognize until much later. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't nerves. It was concentration. The look of someone waiting for a lock to turn. I should have left the paper on the floor and walked out. Instead, I wrote, I'm not going to say what I wrote. It was real, more real than I wanted it to be with someone I barely knew. Maybe that mattered. Maybe that was a part of it. Maybe whatever happened needed something honest to take hold. When I finished, she held out a lighter. Burn it, she said. The second the flame touched the paper, the room changed. Not in some vague, dramatic way. I mean, something physical happened. The air seemed to tighten. Every candle around us bent at once. Their flames dragged sideways as if something had just moved through the circle with us. The temperatures dropped so fast my eyes watered, and Lexi stopped pretending. Her face went empty, not emotionless, relieved. She looked past me towards the hallway and whispered, "He's here." I turned around, and at first I saw nothing, just a dark doorway and the corridor behind it. And then I felt it. That's the closest I can get to explaining it before I saw anything. I felt that someone had entered the room and was standing just outside the reach of the candlelight. The kind of certainty that bypasses logic completely. The body knows before the mind does. I asked her who she met. She kept staring into the hallway. Then she said very softly, "He's been following me since I was 15. I remember saying, "What the frick are you talking about?" She looked at me, and then I understood something that still makes me sick to think about. She was frightened. She was sorry. Not enough to stop, just sorry enough to look human while she did it. "He only leaves," she said, "when he's given someone new." Then every candle went out, all of them at once. The room went black suddenly. It felt like being buried. And from the hallway, I heard movement. Not fast, not frantic, something slower than footsteps. A dragging, patient sound, like whatever was out there had all the time in the world because it already knew I was going. I ran. I don't remember deciding to. My body just did it. I bolted through the dark, hit the doorway with my shoulder, stumbled into the hall, nearly fell on the broken tile, and kept going. I could hear something behind me, not chasing exactly, falling like it didn't need to hurry because the hard part was already done. Lexi never ran after me. That's the details that rots in my head most. She didn't scream, did not try to stop me, didn't even call my name until I was out of the building. And even then, it sounded weak, distant, formal, like the part she needed from me had already been completed. I made it to my car shaking so hard I could barely get my key in. I locked the doors and drove without looking in the mirrors. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up. A text from Lexi, 3 words. "I'm sorry, not I'm sorry now." Like she hadn't been before. Like she could afford to be after. I called her immediately, no answer. I texted, nothing. By morning, her Tinder profile was gone. But the afternoon, her number was dead. For one full day, I told myself she was insane, that she had staged the whole thing to terrify me, that the cold, the candles, the hallway, my brain had done the rest. Then I woke up at 3:07 a.m. and saw someone standing in the corner of my room. Not a shadow, not sleep paralysis. I know the difference. I was awake enough to move, to sit up there, to reach for the lamp. It was standing between the closet and the wall, tall enough that its head seemed wrong for the height of the ceiling. I couldn't make out a face. That was worse somehow. It was just a darker piece of darkness, shaped like a person, completely still, like it had been watching me sleep for hours. When I turned on the lamp, it was gone. And the next night, it was black. If you like that, if you want to listen to part 2, feel free to do so. It'll be on coming up soon. Talk about these crazy Reddit stories and just play Minecraft. It's something I've been enjoying for a little bit now. I appreciate the support and the feedback that I've been getting. It's actually been kind of fun. So today, it's going to be a little bit different. Instead of just reading long paragraph stories, we're just going to be reading a few confessions on the Reddit page and maybe just have some open dialogue. So this one, I just need some mental preparation to prepare for. I respect all people with disabilities. I'll just put a disclaimer on that. People have their challenges and their struggles, but this title, I'm reading it with you. I have not prepared myself to read it, so we're learning this together. Here is the title. When I was 16, I came close to picking up a girl with special needs. How do I even read that? Come on, I can't even read that without feeling a weird way. I don't know if it's how I feel, but all I can say is it's weird. So here we go. So technically speaking, I was 15, but my 16th birthday was 9 days away when this happened. Summer 2007. I was usually a loner during the summers, but that year, I finally decided to crawl out of my shell when I wasn't bringing tabloid talk shows. I started hanging out at my neighborhood library. Well, I was on the computers there. I noticed this girl across the room. She looked about my age. We would lock eyes, and whenever she walked past, I swear she looked interested. This went on for about 3 weeks until I finally worked up the nerve to go for it. Friday 13th, July 2007. That's when I saw her again. Let's call her Lisa. I sat down and started talking to Lisa. Just small talk at first. She was working with a tutor, but I didn't think too much of it. After 10 minutes or so, the tutor pulled Lisa aside. That's when I noticed what she was working on. First grade worksheets. And that wasn't... And... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, I gotta keep a level of professionalism here. I'm a professional. We'll just quickly read that sentence. After 10 minutes or so, the tutor pulled Lisa aside. That's when I noticed what she was working on. First grade worksheets, and she was not the one grading them, if you catch my drift. Then I overheard the tutor ask her to remind her how old she was. She says, "Oh, I'm 27. My stomach dropped. I knew I had to get out of there. So I did the only thing that I could think of. Faked the phone call. I was pretty good at pretending my phone was vibrating back then. I held it up and went, "Hello? Slow down, calm down. What's going on? Grandma fell down the stairs? Oh my God, I'll be right there." I turned back to Lisa and her tutor and said, "It was nice meeting you," and then I ran the hell out of there. Never saw her again. Despite everything, I honestly hope she's doing okay. I feel so bad for this person, that his little version of his little self, just like, oh, he built up the courage to go and, talk to this girl who, thought was just a nice lady and was into her. I took about $2,000 off of a drug dealer that overdosed. So I'm a firefighter, and about 2 years ago, we got a call to a house for an ambulance assist, but we got there first. We walked in and there was 2 guys on the sofa passed out. We copped very fast. It was heroin overdose. So we needed Narcan to reverse the effects of heroin. My colleague went out to the truck to go and get some, and me and another guy stayed. I noticed a wallet was on the table, full of money. I put it in my trousers pocket before anyone could see. There was $2,000 in it. I feel kind of bad, but we saved a life. I guess. So this one is a little bit funny, in my opinion. It's a confession one again. So the title is, "I put the trash my coworker throws on the ground in her lunchbox." I work overnight outside. My job is easy and relaxing. I watch a lot of YouTube. Of course, it can't be completely perfect, and that is why my coworker, Mary, sucks. Mary looks 74, but is 54. She never really took care of herself and smokes multiple packs a day. Since we work around diesel and CNG fuels, she's unable to smoke on the job, so she chews multiple sticks of nicotine gum in the account of the most obnoxious way. When she tosses the foil, she misses the bin 90% of the time, mostly because she cannot account for the wind speed. And if there's there's no bin nearby, she drops it at her feet. She also gets multiple water bottles throughout the shift and takes a few sips before forgetting about it and getting another one 30 minutes later. I usually find 12 to 16 all around our work area, and most are half empty. Mary is lazy, rude, and uses her appearance of old age to get sympathy from our supervisor, so she never has to come back from the first break until after lunch. Needless to say, I don't like her. Since March, I've been picking up her little gum foils and going to the fridge and putting the foil in her lunchbox. The water bottles won't fit, so I surround her lunchbox with them. The first time she seemed confused when she would open it up to find 3 or 4 of her gum foils on top of her Tupperware and would drop them right in front of the fridge. I would place them back inside after lunch. The reason I'm confessing is because she keeps her lunchbox in the car. I get it. I can't say I don't get it, but I mean, interesting to say the least.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where we just kind of hang out and I play Minecraft and you just have a good time and listen to one of these crazy Reddit stories. Today we're going to be reading this post. I can put the link in the description in case you want to go and look at it for your own terms. No problem at all. I hope everyone's having a really nice day today. So for months I was confused why I kept finding long hair. So the title of this Reddit post is, for months I was confused why I kept finding long hairs in my house. Then I saw my neighbor coming out of my house. I'm a man in my 20s that lives alone on the very top floor of an apartment block. I've had short hair for the last 10 years of my life. The longest hair on my head is maybe an inch long, if that even. However, across my house, I kept finding long hairs on the floor, like long brunette hairs, at least 5 to 6 inches, sometimes longer, and they would just be everywhere. Bathroom, floor, in the shower, in my cupboard, and in my kitchen. And old clothes, living room, and sofas, and just so many more places. I've been single since November, and I clean often enough to know that I am certain it is not my ex-girlfriend's hair. Plus, the color doesn't match anyways. She had solid black hair. These are more like a light brunette. Plus, finding them in the places like the shower, where running water is hitting all sides 5 times of the week. Anyways, I waved it off as, well, I work with a lot of people, and I use the gym, and I bust sometimes, so naturally, hairs are going to stick to my clothes. Well, one day this past April, I finished my early AM gym session, and I had got a call that I did not have to go to work that day, so naturally, I start to walk home, all happy that I have the day to myself. And I'm on the 5th floor, the upper top floor of the building, and the apartment is in such a way that there's only one apartment per floor. I start to hustle upstairs, and I do not use the elevator since I'm sweaty from the gym anyways. Just as I whip a right to go up to the last set of stairs from the 4th floor to the 5th, I see my neighbor on the 3rd floor's daughter coming down the stairs. We lock eye contact. We've never spoken before, mostly because we've never had a reason to, but just also out of respect. I didn't want to make her uncomfortable, since she's 19 to 21-ish and I'm slightly older. The most interaction that we've had is that I've spoken to her mother and father before when bumping into each other. I gave a confused hello? And at this point, I'm thinking that maybe she went to knock on my door to ask for something. Cup of sugar, maybe? I don't know. I was expecting her to reply with something like, oh, hi, do you have any XYZ? Nope. She gave a silent, hey, and brushed right past me. And only when the smell of my own shampoo hit me did I notice her hair was wet, like fresh out of the shower a minute ago.
Now, I'm not saying she showered in my house or that I have a stalker that's been living in my house while I've been at work. She very easily could have just been there to ask for something. And most generic brand shampoos smell the same. But don't the pieces fit all too well? Her hair color matches the hair I would find around my apartment, and like I said before, they were everywhere. In my bed, in my sock drawers, and if this is a case of me having a stalker, how does she know I come home early enough to bolt out of the shower in time? Our apartment does not have cameras. It's an older building from before 2000s. And why would she be stalking me? For how long has she been doing this? We never dated, never had a proper conversation. I maybe saw her 20 times in the past 2 years, given that I work and she presumably studies or works too. As all these thoughts are buzzing through my head, I'm standing outside my door for a solid 2 minutes, grappling with the fact of what just had happened. I go to turn the key to my door and it opens without me having to unlock it. And I know for a fact I always double check at my door. It's the type with the lock near waist level and second more secure lock with a different key around the shoulder level. I drop my bag, throw off my shoes, and run to the shower. And yep, it's wet. I had not showered since yesterday morning. I'm a confrontational person. Not that I go looking for fights, but I'll definitely pursue an answer if something is bugging me. So back down the stairs to the third floor, I went and I knocked on that door to my apparent stalker and her family. She opens the door, but with the chain still on, I see half of her face from behind the door. Yes? Can I help? Uh, were you at my door? Or inside? I don't want to make this a police thing, but, you came down the stairs and I know you were inside. I just had to get something. It won't happen again. Okay, bye. See you. And the door closes. This happened last month, and I've been cleaning up my room every weekend, closely now, and got the locks changed and put a motion sensor camera above my door. It only films and triggers on the top steps coming to my door, so the fourth apartment will still have their privacy. So far, so good. I don't think she's been inside since then, but looking back, I think she had been living in my apartment since January, because that's the earliest memory of finding hairs. She never took anything of value, like my laptop or the few watches I have. Seemingly, she just showered and ate some of the food and laid in my bed. I do now also always take the elevator, and I avoid the third floor like the plague. Here's an edit. I'm not really worried about my safety because one, I'm 200 pounds, I do a lot of fight training, and two, the new camera has never gone off since installed, other than myself triggering it when I'm home. Finally, three, I told the old retired husband and wife on the fourth floor that I suspected a robber was trying to break into my apartment last month. I didn't want to start spreading rumors and gossip, and asked them to keep an ear out while I'm at work. I feel fine and safe, just creeped out, like my personal space has been violated. So this one is, how the hell is she getting in? You need to inform her parents and the landlord and explain you will call the police if you even suspect she's back in there. Locks changed, hidden cameras inside, obvious one on the outside of your door. WT. Life work games. Why do I get the feeling that this girl just may have a very tragic backstory? Either that or she's just intruding for funsies, but I doubt that. She's an introvert for sure. I know her parents somewhat because they're quite the chatty type. I'm pretty sure her dad's a bus driver, and the mom's maybe a teacher. They're seemingly a very normal, happy, and healthy family. Here's a comment by C plus 902. That's pretty effing creepy. The tamest answer I can think of is that she had a thing for you, and instead of doing the normal person thing and talking to you, flirting experimentally, and maybe even asking you out if you did not do it at first, she opted for the very weird thing and started sneaking into your apartment when you weren't there. The OP replied, The one person I told this story to in real life is a female friend I've had since we were kids. She threw out a similar theory, especially when I said I noticed my food would go missing and it wasn't me eating and forgetting. She suggested that maybe she was quote unquote role playing or something at my house. I mean, definitely creepy. But yeah, I think a text or a letter asking me for coffee may have been the most, all capitos, put this, legal approach if she had a thing for me. He didn't say he wasn't interested, so I mean, if she just would have maybe gone about it a different way, if she was, into him, all he would have wanted is like a letter, and so maybe he would have gave it a